Money as always. Today we are going to cover a slew of assets here. So we're going to be diving into a little bit of the stock market as well as the crypto market. We're going to be taking a look at the S&P 500 as always, Bitcoin, Ethereum. Going to take a look at the Ethereum versus BTC chart, Amazon, Meta, Dogecoin, and GMX, a new project that just launched pretty recently. So if that interests you, be sure to stick through to the end of the video. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. And above all else, the number one question on everybody's mind on this beautiful Friday, Magic, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm actually a little hungover, but I'm doing all right.
Man, those 2 beers in the middle of the week will really catch up to you, man.
Yeah, I was doing sober October, guys, if you know, and I didn't make it the full 31, but I went and got some like Imperial Stout from Boulevard, which is like a 14% special edition beer. I had 3 of them last night, and I'll be up front with you. I'm feeling it today. That was not, I didn't work out today. I just walked the dog, and I'll get that in later.
Hey, man, Fridays are for resting, So
yeah,
that's pretty big, actually. I didn't even realize it was the 28th because when you said that, I just thought it was a few days into the month or something. But yeah, going 28 days without drinking and then kicking it with some 14 percenters. That's like chugging a bottle of wine, man, on an empty stomach. So I'm sure you are feeling it.
Yeah, it wasn't great, but it is what it is. Yeah, so we'll just kick it off here chart-wise, guys. If you guys have any requests, let us know. I'm going to look at the S&P first, per the usual. We're going to talk about Bitcoin. And then we're going to jump into, do you want to talk about Amazon or you want to talk about Meta first?
We could do Amazon first.
Okay.
Keep it spicy.
So S&P, right? What were we looking for yesterday? We talked about this little zone here, blue box of, I think as I've heard it called as the blue box of death and despair. You're coming into resistance. That's all it is, guys. Local golden pocket. 24M just above that. That is going to be a 2-year high time frame average of price. You can see it's been both support and resistance very nicely in the past. So we want to see this kind of, we're expecting it to be respected. Plus you're coming up into the trend a little bit. So we know that this is a well-established downtrend, and you can get rallies in a downtrend, and we're looking for the top of the trend, which starts to coordinate inside this box. So break out of this box, well, we go to the next box. But until then, we have to trade what's in front of us. That does correlate to Bitcoin, of course. So if you guys recall from yesterday, we were talking about how you might, want to head short. I think it was even 2 days ago when we were coming up into this region potentially, saying, this is an area of take profit. Doesn't mean you have to close your position if you're long from the lows. You just have to understand that, you're going to probably see a pullback here. It's very unlikely we just rocket through the area. We were focusing on 20,401 being the level to hold, which is just an SFP back test. You can see it's very well respected even on the hourly here. You got a really nice bounce off of it. Where did it go back to? The level I've been shilling you guys since the beginning of the year almost, and that is 20,688, playing another key role in this area. Want to see some closures above that, but you've come back to the level we gave. This is a little box here. If you guys recall, it was based on a harmonic. Basically, what we were doing is going down to the 4-hour for this one, and you were looking at this in terms of structure, just saying, okay, here's my structural high of the move in terms of the B leg. Here is my peak of the B leg plus the 20K in POC. You have a few opens there as well, I believe. And then there was an untapped daily pivot. So a lot of stuff saying that this was going to be bounce territory. A little bit of action this morning on, it took the previous day low was needing to be claimed, but it decided to take the session lows first. So hang on, I'm gonna have to kick the dog out here in a second. He's chewing on his toy in here. You guys might hear that, but it's not that big a deal. So you want to see 20,401 become support again. I'm not going to keep this level on here too long, mainly because it's washed through. But what you're going to want to see is serving as like a channel. You could divide this up. I guess we could do it that way. That'd be probably the best way to do it. Something like this. You could say this is your EQ, right? And it'll probably serve pretty well. Yeah, right there. So you can see that your EQ is lining up fairly close to it. You can adjust it however you want to if it fits your narrative. But looking at something like this as a channel, you get rid of this and you can see that now you've got a nice clean horizontal ray there, basically. There we go. Nice and straight that way. So that's how I'd be trading this. It's still in this range between, 20,000 and now this high. So you are establishing a range. One thing to point out is on that SFP of the low this morning, you also did take out this right here. So when we established ourselves above 20K, you did put in a low right here. So this low is going to be coming in right around 19,980, and today's low did take it out at 19,968. So if you were really well organized and paying attention, a pretty important low to establish a range was taken. So now what do we expect? Take the lows. We expect to come back and challenge into some of the highs. So I'd be looking for another test into this box. I don't think this move is quite done yet, potentially. But first signs that it's not going to be done is what? Losing $20,000. And at that point, we're looking down to 19,150, as that is going to be our overall gold pocket. And the TPO POC, your monthly POC, weekly POCs down there according to TradingView. I'm having ExoChart problems this morning. It's not loading any of the prior data to what's going on. So I don't know if I can trust what's coming in. So I probably won't use that. Parent-teacher meeting was so bad. Believe it or not, I got false information. It was, I went to my daughter's recital. So I was done by like 7:30. So I didn't have to do the parent-teacher meetings. Those are next Thursday, but they should be fine because they are after Debate Crypto. So we'll got a slot afterwards, so we should be good there.
It is.
Yeah, that's it on the price, guys. Just trade the levels that are in front of you. If you lose 20K, that's the time to start looking worried. And at that point, you are targeting the gold pocket, which is, you know, anytime you're looking at a harmonic, you're looking from A to D now. You're looking for that gold pocket. If you wanted to, you could do this and go to, you know, the EQ of the range and look at like 19.5. And I believe your weekly open comes in there, if I recall. I'm not sure if I updated it on this one. Yeah, I did. So 19.560 is the weekly open. Lines up nicely with the C to D gold pocket, but I'm really focusing on this one just because of volume targets as well. So if you see a little bit of a bounce there, that's what it's from. But it would also close out all of this. Like you can see, these are just straight up candles. Some inefficiencies left here. So, you know, a lot of times when you get those, what do? You retrace them, fill them in, and then take off. And that would imply taking these lows into this gold pocket. So it's going to be a wait and see type thing, but you've got plays for both upside and downside. So, you know, just trade accordingly. Yeah, trade accordingly. You know, as always, if we break through this box, look for the SFP into the edge of the gold pocket. Make sure that you're not getting trapped up here at the highs. But you turn this into support, you know, your next targets are coming up here to the, you know, value area high of the range. And I'll get rid of the ATAS data and we'll just pull up the trading view. I don't have ATAS because I restarted my computer before the stream to see if it fixed EXO, and I just never fired ATAS up. So yeah, again, about the same levels, 22.1. We know that we have some key levels just above us, right around 22.4. And we also have a 6M key level there. So one of our hand-generated levels. And that is going to be right here. And it's 22.407, right? So you're still looking at that as the zone of resistance plus the overall gold pocket of the move right there coming in line up with it. So that would be the target if we do resolve this up. So we'll see what we get. Yeah, let's look at Amazon. So I took a little bit of time and did look at Amazon here. Just taking a peek at it, and really kind of a nasty chart, but we will, you know, talk about how, if I can find it, I might just have to put Amazon in because I might be looking right at it. I swear, man. There we go. Right, all right, all right. So straight away, guys, what's the year look like on Amazon? We all know it just looks absolutely awful. Put it in log scale so you can see it a little bit better. And it actually doesn't look that bad in log. If you take it out of log in a linear, though, that's a pretty big red candle. So straight away, the first observation you need to make is that your 2020 open is right here. And so is your key level from 2020 as well. So when you're looking at this, it kind of stands to make sense of why would it stop here. You do have a few things that you could look at on why it would stop here. This is going to be a pretty important local low that I've gone ahead and just pointed out. And I think this one will be the next one. But why would it stop here? Well, we got to look at a few things. It's a pretty overextended move. You've come into the quarter two low in the Q3 open here. So if you're going to see any kind of a bounce, you would want to see it reclaiming these levels and then turning this like little area into support between, what is that? 101.26 and 106.29 into support. And then you can make that move up probably back to, you know, backfill some of this into like the dollar, you know, 15 to 20 range probably. But you've got a trend going on. It's obviously a downtrend. There is your local peak. There's your local low. There is going to be your 1-to-1. Now, if we turn this into log, which is going to go off percentage, so these are fibs in log scale in this case, you do have the 1,618 here. So that is something to note. However, if you get out of log back into linear, which is the preferred method, again, that local low we were just talking about becomes a point of interest. So if I was looking at this, I would say further down. I don't think it makes any sense to leave the yearly open and the 12M1 here untapped, because it is currently, I believe, untapped in that regard. So I would like to think that this is probably going to fill in and maybe even challenge this local low, which I would be a big fan of, because if you go all-time high to all-time low, this is actually your gold pocket of the move. So if you were to just go from when Amazon started all the way to the peak, the golden pocket is right here at a quarterly level of support, big level right here. Also could very easily turn into a larger range and structure off this level. So you'd be looking at $73 on this thing. So for me, you know, I wouldn't say it's do or die, but this can definitely come down more. That's the point of the, I guess, the conversation is, doesn't mean don't buy. If you guys are long-term stock market bulls, it's just, you know, you're getting some discounts on these. Just understand that if you're buying into something like this, the TA says this can come down more. You know, it can come down, what is that, like another 20-30%, you know, and that's huge on an asset like this, something this big. So not the end of the world, but would be a pretty good opportunity down here. This would be my big time area that I'd like to get in at, because I think that you're going to, at a minimum, get a really great bounce. So if Amazon, though, starts living above 101.26, you can go out to the daily here and see that we've already back tested it. So you want to see it getting back above this level, then confirming this as support here at the Q3 open. If you can do that, probably fill in this gap. You know, you look to see if you have any other gaps that might fill, and you'd basically just be looking to pull maybe some fibs as well. That's all I would do. Haven't done a lot of volume work on this. Yeah, just above this gap right here, you can see that we have a gap to the downside. You have the gold pocket. So I'd be targeting that, anything above that. And well, you may be looking back to this local high here. So that's it for Amazon. So if you guys are wondering, you know, if it's a good time to buy Amazon, it's not a bad time, but I think there could be a better time to get in.
Did I was going to make an Elon joke, but it wouldn't make sense. So never mind.
Yeah.
I'll leave that one off.
You know, all those guys that you kind of associate with Elon, you got Elon, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, they're all having a bad time right now. Tesla's down, right? Big time. It led the way. And then Amazon and Meta. We'll talk about Meta. Meta is an absolute fucking dumpster fire. Excuse my language, but this thing got Kramered so hard. One thing I want to point out about Meta is I've done very little work on this chart, but look at this yearly candle on Meta coming all the way down, just blowing through support. So you are coming down, you know, I shouldn't say that you're going to come down to this level because it's all the way down at $27. But at this point, you know, when a sell-off like this happens, anything can happen. I'm not calling for that by any means. I think that would be pretty nasty. We'd have probably some pretty big problems altogether if that's the case. But one thing I want to point out is this isn't anything that's new, guys. This has been going on. This has been a downtrend for quite some time. This is why I say, like, DCAing is great. Everybody says just DCA. But, like, if you've been DCAing this whole move, your average is completely, it's awful. You have an awful average. You're going to be sitting on that position for years probably. So just keep that in mind. You know, if you recover 128, yeah, we can start looking back up. But, you know, we just play this local range right here. Like, let's say it did bounce from here, gets the oversold bounce, whatever it may be called. You could potentially put in a range. You know, you could start trading this as a range just from a structural standpoint. But yeah, Meta's been going down for a while, guys. It's not like this just happened. Like, you can go to the 3-month chart and you can see quarter after quarter, down quarter, down quarter, down quarter, down quarter. It's not good. And, you know, they peaked in 2021 in July when Bitcoin was bottoming. You know, they were starting to have their peak. So take that for what you will. But Meta is Yeah, it's ripping, just ripping the wrong direction if you're holding this thing. Yeah, you've gone way past the gold pocket. Where's your 886? That's where you find the value on this type of stuff. Yeah, 59 bucks, way down here. You can keep coming down, man. Where do we stop at? Do we stop at a local fib? It's the only time I'll just pull these up blindly and just, because I haven't looked at the chart too much, but you're right at the 786. It looked like you had a potential harmonic on Amazon. It doesn't look like you have that here at all. This just looks really, really terrible, for lack of a better term. Like you've got nothing going on here. You may had something right here and just floundered out and then down it went. So if it breaks the 786, yeah, $59. And then I think at that point you're probably just looking down to 27 bucks. And I would probably be considering buying some at $27 unless, MySpace makes a comeback and takes over the personal data space, maybe.
They might have been holding off this whole time.
Man has Isaac's got a solid comment. I'm going to go ahead and highlight right there. Man has a fantasy of enslaving the human race in virtual reality, and the company tanks. That is gold, sir. And you're not wrong. He did take a pretty big risk. He got into crypto pretty near the top when you think about it. From July to November is the top of Bitcoin. Yeah, that's when they got involved. The metaverse gets in there. They changed the company name. At some point I don't know when they changed to Meta. Does anybody know the date that they changed? When did Facebook become Meta?
It was probably literally November 9th.
Yeah.
It was very close to the end of the year, if not
October 2021. They became Meta in October of 2021. That is right here. They'd already seen a pullback. And what does it tell you when they get a rebranding off of what looks like a top? This looks like a parabolic top when you look at it, right? They're trying to do something to change it up because they see this coming. These guys are smart. They got reports. They know what's happening. They can see users leaving the space. They can see, user activity, what's going on. And you have to think that might have played a role. And they were like, we got to get new users. And I think that's when Meta became a thing. I think that was like their next, venture. And I don't know that they've actually done anything with it yet. I don't keep up on that. But, we got some guys that do that we know. So maybe we'll bring them on the show and talk about it, the metaverse, because I feel like some of those NFT guys would have a pretty good, pulse on what's going on in the metaverse. Because I feel like those are loosely, getting intertwined a little bit. It seems like that faction, if they're in NFTs, they're kind of into the metaverse as well. Right. But yeah, looks like straight hot dog water. Let's be real. This is a bad chart. It's a good chart until it wasn't. Now it's a really bad chart. So, but bad charts are the ones you want to buy. Like, speaking of a bad chart, somebody asked me for this thing. I am going to work up a chart on it. I made a list of some altcoins that people were kind of talking about, and this was a request from Twitter, so I will take a look at it. But also a bad chart. You can see right here, this is your high, low, higher high, or lower high, which I guess this is all one giant high, lower low, and you're still, you're yet to make a higher high locally. And this is a weekly chart. So you want to see the weekly making higher lows, and you don't have that yet. Could you potentially? Yeah, if you claim about 650, but we'll take a look at that another day. So what do you got for us today, man?
Well, I was going to go over some hot dog water, but since you've already covered that.
A little Limp Biscuit action.
The Limp Biscuit, man. So one thing, when you were looking at Bitcoin too, I just wanted to kind of get your thoughts, I guess. We're coming into Friday. Obviously, the stock market is all coming to an end for the week. Crypto, on the other hand, does not necessarily stop. Generally, we see a little bit of a settle down over the weekends, and then sometimes we don't, right? Sometimes we get some pretty big moves, and then we give it all back up, whether it's down or up, like on Monday. With the FOMC meeting coming to Wednesday, something I just kind of want to point out to everybody too. And then, like I said, get your thoughts on it is like, we ran up pretty hard with Bitcoin the other day, ran it up to 21K. We were looking for that pullback to 20,100, like we were saying. Obviously, we, peaked down a little bit under that at the moment, but it's very possible to just kind of range it out in this region for likely till next Wednesday, right? Like a lot of times we get these, major events like a CPI data report or this FOMC meeting, and you get a really nice move kind of leading up to it. And then a few days before, it's like the market just stands still. So I just want to see what you thought on that with Bitcoin as far as that would go,
You mean going into the weekend, like what I think is going to happen?
Yeah. What's a good thing for anybody to look for? I mean, I know we got the levels to watch out for, but
I honestly think that it would be good if it just ranged it out a little bit here. But we'll see. I think that there is a chance coming into, we're seeing a lot of news events happen. So we could talk about rate hikes. The next one's going to be 75. People are trying to price that in, but I just don't know that, there are some indicators. So there's many indicators saying bullish is or bearish at this point, in my opinion. So you really do still have that split. And we talked about this
right.
several weeks back where I said it really is kind of a coin flip. Like you've got a really long extended range on this. So as long as we're not breaking down over the weekend, I would think that'd be good for Bitcoin, but a break back into the range over the weekend on low liquidity could really bring a nasty dump. So for me, my bias is still to rotate this range because we did deviate the bottom side of the range. So I just have to think we're going to complete that rotation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I'm not one of those people that's going to just marry an idea that, we're only going up from an area or only going down until we get some kind of a confirmation. And we potentially have that if price can continue up. But if it comes back down, I think anything underneath the weekly open, like if you would go out to the weekly chart, if you want to pull it up, or I can, it doesn't matter. If you go out to the weekly chart on Bitcoin here, I'll go ahead and get it up for you real quick. You got to the weekly on Bitcoin. Well, you really don't want to see your weekly open lost. Like when we look at this candle, okay, when you're looking at this candle, we'll get rid of this SFP in a second. I'm actually going to move this down to this high right here at $20,000. So again, $20,000, just more confluence that this was a good area to be looking for support, at least initially. This is a change of behavior if we close above it on a weekly. So that's what I'd be looking for coming into Sunday close, guys, is I want to see Bitcoin holding 20K and living above it. And if it comes back to it next week, this needs to be support. We can't come back underneath 20K. Even just from a weekly structural standpoint, closing below this makes me think that, well, we're probably coming all the way down and backfilling some of this right here. Doesn't mean it's going to dump to 12K, but it definitely wouldn't be a good start to a reversal off these lows, because at the end of the day, you're looking at this again on a weekly time frame. Obviously the weekly downtrend started way before this, but even just locally, right? You have your low, you have a high, you have a low, another higher low. Now you have a lower low. And if it stopped right here and started retracing, this would be another lower high in a downtrend, even locally. You would have to think you're going to attempt to make another lower low. And I say attempt because it doesn't guarantee anything. You have a very similar, outlook on things right here where you have low, high. I don't know that I'd call that a low. I think this would be your secondary low. So not a great example, but it did attempt to make a new low, failed to do so from that 20-second wick, back tested that 29,800 daily SFP of the range, and off it went, right? So you could see something like that, but I would rather see this get a push through here sooner than later. So I do think coming into this week, 20K needs to hold. 20K holds. I think we can start looking up and even talking about, 24 to 24/7. We don't want to overlook 22.5 by any means, but yeah, that would be what I'm looking for. I'm still looking for further upside. I don't think it's done just yet. I do think it's a cooling off period though, because people are probably, I don't know if you guys get on Twitter much. Obviously I have a Twitter account, so I do get on there and peruse. Like there were a lot of people thinking they were geniuses. Like I told you, it was the bottom people, and maybe they end up being right. But anytime you see something like that and you see a candle that's just, candles like this to the upside, or it's just ripping, you got to think that you're going to see some kind of a pullback, got to wipe the slate clean, so to speak, get some of the people, one, to take profits on their longs, or two, start stopping them out on the trailing stops if people are moving them up, because a lot of people will. So And plus you have late longers up here. Of course, you always have the people that FOMO'd in, got to make sure they get what they deserve. And
what they deserve. It is a
it is
battle out
what
here.
it is. Went for a short on ETH and got burnt bad this morning. Was expecting harsh market open on Legacy, and yeah. You got to be careful with market open on Legacy. With ETH, you don't ever want to short when you're down in this region. You can short from like here on the breakdown with Bitcoin, but it's. I would just say review the trade, why you went short. If it was just based on a harsh market open, I would say make sure that next time you got something in the charts that you're like, okay, this was my trigger to get in that short. Maybe you did, and we can talk about it in the classroom because I know you're in the group. But sometimes that's going to happen. And we got to remember, guys, when you use the term burnt bad, I don't want that to be I lost a bunch of money. What I want that to be is I took a loss and I had risk management, and it's okay because I'm just going to go take another trade. And at the end of the day, we expect to lose trades in this market. Nobody wins all the time. So you have to make sure that the math is in your favor. That's about all I got there. I'll let you get back to your speculative altcoins.
Speculation, senor. It's the best way to be. All right, cool. So just kind of piggybacking off what he was saying, we're going into the weekend. Bitcoin's looking decent on the weekly right now. Obviously, we know what we need to hold. Ethereum is as well, right? So kind of looking, I'll turn this off for a second, kind of clear it up a little bit. Looking at the weekly, right? You got pretty bullish engulfing candle from last week, actually, right? We had this red, got the bullish engulfing, then this week's just been a rager as well. So seeing what we're going to close out on the week is going to be a pretty interesting one. By the way, if you are in the Leading Crypto Discord server, we do have a members only market update twice a week. So on Sunday night, you'll get an exclusive update that we do not put out for the public right after the weekly close. Other than that, though, taking a look at ETH here, right? So very same thing as Bitcoin, right? We had this nice move up. We were expecting a pullback. You got a quarterly key level right below us here. One thing to point out, right? So we're looking at this overall range that we've been in for some time, paying really close attention to. We were within this golden pocket, quarter 2 point of control, right? We came down, basically took the local low right here. Very similar to how Magic was just saying, it comes down, takes that low, deviates, and then runs it back. Basically knocking everybody out, right? So we are at these levels now. This was a very big area for some fresh entries on ETH. If you were not, getting in around these regions, or if you were, making adjustments and weren't able to get, new entries right here, obviously during this rally right here was not the ideal situation at the moment or at that time. And then we were looking for this area, which we came down to and lived in for quite some time. So from here, right, we know what we're looking up for the upside. I got an untapped weekly up here at 1766, which is the next major area I'm paying attention for continuation. If you're looking at this in a sense of, it's kind of, I probably wouldn't classify this as this way, but if you're looking at this in like a sense of a bull flag to some degree, right, just with that rounded top, it's a little different. But I'll also show you where we stopped basically right at for ETH, which is pretty interesting to note, right? But you get a little bull flag, right? Just for anybody that's going to measure this out. And let's just say we come down to the quarterly open, a little measured move takes us up above that weekly open either way. I point that out just because you like to kind of stack on confluence with some certain pattern ideas and then with our levels that we're watching anyhow. So for the upside from here, right, looking for, possibly a move back down to this quarterly key. Really don't want to lose that. If we do, more than likely we're going to revisit this region, right, back down to like 1370, possibly even back down to this golden pocket region. This is also your local golden pocket now as well, right? If you pulled from low to high, basically comes in right at that region as well. So quarterly key level is important to hold on to, in my opinion. 1456 closing basis, right? You don't want to start seeing 4 hours close below there short term. Otherwise, to the upside, looking for the move very similar to this, right? Where you come down, you shoot it up. That'd be that measured move of that bull flag for anybody looking at that in a bull flag scenario. We'd be looking to take it up higher. So where did we stop, right? Looking at this, you just kind of looks like, all right, we just rallied up to kind of nowhere. You got a high, lower high, and currently a lower high, right? Well, if you're looking at this on a volume structure, this is a very high time frame I have pulled up here. Zooming this down to a monthly basis. Boop, boop, boop. Right, kind of closing that off. We're going to pull up the September range here, and this is what we have, right? So right to the high. So basically just rotated last month's range beautifully as Bitcoin was coming into the quarterly pivot as well. Major resistance levels that they came into at 20,900, essentially 21K. So for Lola, I mean, essentially you didn't, depending on where you got in at, this would have been a decent area to put in a short idea from. You just got to realize that you got to have a tight stop loss and areas to take profits on down the road, anticipating that this will continue higher. So I don't know where you would have got in. Maybe you got in a little later as it started breaking down, but at the high here at 1580 wouldn't have been terrible, obviously. So for this, however, kind of going into the same idea is that you want to see this broken out. We got the value area high coming in here at 1580, get that claimed, and then we're probably going to be seeing onward and upward. Otherwise, just as we just mentioned, coming back down in this region, this would be the low. You got the point of control, that overall golden pocket that we've seen from the high to low that we were looking at before, all stacks up in that region as well. So that would be the downside areas once again. But for upside, 1580 is, in my opinion, right now, the line in the sand in the short term, which would obviously be taking out the recent high too. So what we'd be looking for over the next couple of days here. I did want to take a look. So somebody requested ETH versus BTC, and I really hadn't looked at that for quite a bit, but I did want to pull this up. Pretty much haven't really adjusted this either. So this has been really the same region for quite some time. Kind of zoom this out a little bit. So you've got an overall range here pretty much for almost the last year and a half, right? This is 2021 April I'm pulling this from, all the way through to where we are now. So you can see we've had some slight deviations, come back in the range, rotated through, deviation, rotated through, back through. You got this point of control, just sucking price to it like a magnet every single time. And from here, you are attempting to challenge back into the range high here. So for ETH versus BTC, meaning for the altcoins to start outperforming Bitcoin a bit, you really would like to see this 0.0, let's call it 0.08 on there broken and claimed for more upside continuation. Putting this into a little bit more perspective as well, right? Pulling a quarterly here. You've also got the highs right now coming into play. So we basically just rotated that, we back tested into here, got the point of control, and now we're back testing again the range high for the last quarter here. So breaking this region obviously would be a good good move here, but overall I'd still be looking for the 0.08 on the Bitcoin versus Ethereum for that upside move in the altcoin market. Essentially, Ethereum obviously outperforming, and generally the altcoins are going to follow with it. So and to the downside region, do realize we are at resistance right now as we are at that overall high, right? Coming in right here. Point of control still at 6.067. And then we've got the yearly key level right below that, that we've been, kind of washing through quite a bit over the last several months here. And then we've got the, overall low coming in here. So, I mean, same targets will be kind of at hand to the downside. And that's just on a pretty simple overview there, in my opinion. All right.
You got yourself an ETH question, by the way.
Let's see it.
I just put it up.
ETH is forming a double bottom on the weekly. That is not something you consider. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something also to throw into the, to the TA as far as Confluence would go. Let's take a look at it real quick again, right? All right. So yeah, I mean, I know that you're talking about this right here, right? So definitely something to keep in mind, right? For sure, to add to it. So on top of, like we said, if we close this week out, essentially, over the last, for one, over this quarterly key level in this region, we are definitely in the works of, starting this new uptrend here. And then, yeah, putting that with the case of the double bottom as well is definitely something to, consider. Just be aware of the levels at hand that for the downside, I still got that untapped daily all the way down here. If we start losing certain structure there, but yeah, the double bottom I think is in play, and something to definitely consider. Wouldn't be the end all be all. That the only thing I would look at solely, but yeah, definitely there. So all right. Adam and Eve could be that. I call that the goldfish pattern these days, but you could probably dress something up in that nature too. So, all right, so we got Bitcoin, ETH, BTC. We're gonna take a look at. So the reason I keep bringing up Doge, I'm not a huge like Doge holder by any means, but Doge can definitely be something that incites the market. So it's something I like to just kind of keep a finger on the pulse with, and also it does offer up some short-term trades quite often. One big area that I've been looking for personally, and this is just like not even really, you don't have to even use leverage, right? So it's been this overall range here that I've had my eyes on for several weeks, possibly even months at this point. This is from April, so yeah, this is an 8-month window that I've had my eyes on this coming into this region. We came into it once before, and this is the beauty of trading, right? Is that, you come into this region and you have to start protecting yourself because you might not, just continue on to the upside, right? So this was beautiful. There was many people in the group even that did this really perfectly. We got back into this region, right? You entered for a trade. You had your first take profit right here at the daily, and then stop loss moved to break even. So you had a small win no matter what. And we got stopped out on the way down, but you saved yourself from all this. This was a 40% decline. So unless you flipped, short, which you very well could have, you got the breakdown, you got the back test of the low, and that's exactly what you could have done. But for anybody that was looking for another long position, yeah, there was some opportunity here. If you didn't catch it, however, where are we now? This is one of those times where, a lot of it's a really, one of those positions where you don't want to chase green candles, right? That is definitely what everybody throws out there. However, if you have a plan in place, there are opportunities where, you can come in after something like this and still have another big opportunity to the upside. Granted, you have to know where you're wrong, have your stop loss in place, and be very cautious because this was already a 40% pump now. Granted, this could turn into a 200% pump, right? We've seen that at a quant, we've seen that at a Matic. It really does come down to, your risk management, your strategy, your tolerance, how much you can pay attention to this market, things like that, right? So generally, I would say don't chase green candles and all those things. But like I said, you get to a position where you get the rally, you get the cool down, and then we can continue from there. So definitely something to keep in mind for Doge, right? Everything kind of got gassed up on the RSI. We were up at like 80 and 90 on the 4-hour. This has came back down and cooled off a bit. So it does have some room to run in that aspect if anybody's paying attention for that. But the thing that I've been looking for personally was basically the reclaim and the re-entry of this range. So that comes in right at 0.082 cents. You zoom into a short time frame, you can see we're getting that right now, right? So we shot in here. Was this yesterday? Maybe got the rejection, right? So. But right here, you see that we came in, pulled back, hit the VWAP, right back inside, got the back test now. So essentially, we can look for a little bit more of a close, basically on a 4-hour time frame, which I think does close. What time is it? In an hour. And if you get the 4-hour in there, this is potentially a really nice move here. And once again, without any leverage, you're looking for at least this untapped monthly key level up here, right? From where we are, it's about a 16% move. This is a pit stop, in my opinion. This daily at 11 cents. Then you got the golden pocket and the point of control coming in 13 and 14 cents, this little window right here. So that'd be the major areas for me to the upside from where we are now, which imagine if Doge pumps another 50%, right? This is already up 40. It's really gonna hype up the market. So something to kind of keep in mind, definitely keep a level head with, but there's opportunities at hand there for sure. And, this is the Twitter thing is just it's comical, right? How these things align well. We talk about this like consistently with, my man Elon's definitely got an analyst or two that's like, all right, hit the tweet, it's ready. So everybody like kind of teams up and thinks that that's the reason. Sometimes maybe it is, who knows? All right. So the last one was this is a request as well. GMX, it's a new coin. This is a low cap, right? So this is, I'd like to say it's like $100 million, maybe even less. So just keep that in mind. But for anybody that's already in this or just kind of looking for some chart work, I guess you could say, on it, I did want to just kind of bring it up. Very, very little price action, right? This is brand new. Came out on like the 10th. So just like I said, just bringing this up because it was a request. We've got a couple of levels here. We don't even have, monthly information on this quite yet because, like I said, this was just brought up on the 10th. So you do have, a nice range being put in place at the moment. We've got the run up to the high so far. We've got a couple of dailies in the intermediate here. One thing I want to note is that there's an untapped weekly level right here, along with our local golden pocket from low to high. If we do start coming down and losing 38.80, right now we're at $40.44. So that would be a level that I'd be looking for. Sorry for my landscaper behind me. Another thing to note here is that where do we have it there? All right, we've got the overall range here, which essentially we've broken out of, come down, got a little back test, and we're shooting out of that from now. So for here, once again, coming back down and losing this daily is a pretty important area, as it is the overall value area high at the moment. First stop would be around this golden pocket in that weekly. There is the point of control does come in down at 34 cents, basically the low. At that point, I'd imagine we just come back down to the lows anyways. So the daily right here is very important to note, to keep right there, about 38.90. If you're looking at this in any sense of a bull flag, right, as I'm sure many would probably start drawing up, you got a little measured move, give or take wherever we're going to come in. If you're just launching from here, this could possibly take us up to about $50. When just once again, like I said, keyword is possibly. Throwing on any kind of fibs at this point, that would take you upwards of about the 2 level. Just want to point out, you do have a 1618 coming in about $47. So something definitely keep in mind as if you do start breaking up higher than these levels. And yeah, that's what I'd be looking for. So I just deleted that in there. All right. Magic, is there anything else you'd like to cover today, sir? I feel like we went through a slew.
Yeah, no, that's pretty much it. That what has it been, 41 minutes? So, yeah, just working on trying to get new content out to you guys in terms of not just daily analysis, but other coins, things like that you guys want. Let us know if you guys like the format we have now, or if you want more like news-based stuff, traditional markets. Are you guys interested in like NFTs and the metaverse? Let us know what you're into. And we'll try to bring on people that are, somewhat subject matter experts in that field, because neither one of us really are. I think CVO's got a better beat on it than I do, but I'm like as boomer as possible when it comes to some of the NFTs and like DeFi and stuff like that, because I just don't trust it. Well, if you've been in the crypto space for more than a cycle, you would know why. You've seen things that.
Trust me, I used to be a big news guy myself, man. And then I was like, there was no shortage of good news as we were going down 90% for everything. And it was just like,
oh yeah, 2018 and 19. I remember that. There was nothing but good news in 2018 and 19 for crypto. And like thing just jumped to 3K instead. But but the reason I say that is I'm not saying everything's a scam, but I was discussing this with CVO. One thing you guys have to remember, and this is why it's very important to not be all your eggs in one basket on these new projects, especially. There was, I want to say close to 100 car manufacturers when the car was built. Now there's how many, in the US? You had a really great one. I can't remember what it was.
BlackBerry.
The BlackBerry. We were talking about phones, so I got a new phone. Pixel 7 Pro. Get you one. It's a good phone. I only have to charge it every 2 days, man. Like it's not bad.
Dude,
that's the biggest win for me, is like not having to charge this thing like ever is awesome. Let's see how long that lasts, though. We all know about cell phone battery life, but
right.
I remember back in the day, the BlackBerry was the phone, right? Think about it. Now what is it? iPhone. You've got the Pixel, things like that. So don't marry this idea that your project's going to be around forever. Make sure you pay yourself along the way. Or if it's, I guess we just saw the biggest one was Cell, with the staking, and the company went bankrupt, right? So big things can happen like that, especially when the markets take a downturn. Now, if you ride them up during the peak of hype and FOMO, I'll tell you this right now, like TA wise, this is how you make consistent money if you're good at it. But if you're looking for like that home run shot and you time the hype and FOMO of a market correct, that's, you can make money hand over fist. The problem is people think that it's going to be like that forever. And we all know that's not realistic. And so they don't take profits and they think, well, it won't come down because I was in early. Well, in some cases, it'll come back and it'll get you. So make sure that you do, if you get a winner, make sure that you're allocating your dollars correctly, because at the end of the day, that's how we need money to live. Unfortunately, that's the realism of life. And if yours is all tied up in scratch tickets, it's probably not a good strategy.
That's it. Perfect. Well, always a great update with you, sir. Hope you all enjoyed this Friday weekly roundup here for crypto. Have a great weekend. We'll be back Monday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, through the week for next week. Nice big, week coming up for us with that FOMC meeting. Is always a fun time around there. Whether or not that drives it or not, we'll see. And for anybody that's interested in joining the Leading Crypto Discord trading group, we do have the link for that in the description box below. We do hold a members only market update on Wednesday nights at 9:45 p.m. and Sundays as well. So right after the weekly close on Sunday night, get an exclusive members only update, take questions, and things of that nature. So you can always tag us in the chat areas as well. We have a slew of, basically books for, that come with the membership, basically on all of our, resources and tactics that we utilize. Magic and Max created a step-by-step 14 video academy on all the tools that we use as well, and verbiage and things like that. So, you can kind of get caught up to speed with everything. And then you get the updates, obviously, from Magic and I, constantly, all of our analysis and everything. So if you're interested in that, join below. Otherwise, we'll see you all on Monday morning, 10 a.m. Have a great morning, weekend, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in this beautiful world. And until next time, everybody, cheers.